Good evening to all of you. I'm Anurag Punitha with you. In this edition of Public Forum, we are going to discuss about the slaughter ban, cattle slaughter ban. And a couple of days back when the centre came out with a gazette notification titled Prevention of Cruelty to Animal Rules 2017 by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. It says that no one can bring cattle to an animal market unless he or she has furnished a written declaration that the cattle will not be sold for the purpose of slaughter. Though there has not been a uniformity of cattle ban or slaughter of cows or cattle in all states of India, like in Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Delhi, Goa, Gujarat, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Punjab, Rajasthan, Telangana, Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand. It comprises 18 states. Cow slaughter is banned here. But in states like Assam, Tamil Nadu and West Bengal, cattle slaughter is allowed requisite certificates from the appropriate authorities. And there is no ban on slaughter of cattle in Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim and Tripura. So what will happen to the new notification in these states, or will it not be difficult to implement? And when centre makes a law, why few states cannot fall in line? Though economics of the cattle slaughter is totally different connotation, meat market is of thousands of crores. Lakhs of people are associated with this trade, but the cruelty and sentiments are also associated with this kind of notification or with this kind of a law. This move is a further likely to hurt the buffalo meat industry, it is being said. So how this notification may lead to the constitutional crisis, whose right is more important, animal rights or right to eat? We are going to discuss in this edition of Public Forum. Joining me for the discussion, Mr. C.P. Bhambre, constitutional expert. Welcome to the show, sir. And Ms. Nikita Anand, former Miss India and spokesperson, Dhyan Foundation. Welcome to the show.
Thank
Nikita.
you.
Starting with you, Bhambre, sir. The notification has been issued by the centre, but the law has to be implemented by the states. When the few states are saying that we will not follow this notification, we will not allow centre to have a kind of voice, and we will challenge the notification in the court. Will it not lead to the sort of a constitutional crisis? How do you see this situation?
In your very first narrative, you have identified the complexity and difficulty of dealing with this problem. Mm-hmm. Why are some states not banning the slaughter?
Yeah.
That is the key to understand that in a continental country of this size, with all kind of diversities, cultural, religious, food habits, you have to have a system based on consensus, based on dialogue, not based on imposition. This issue was raised in the Constituent Assembly from the very beginning by some members. It was discussed, however, it was found that it is not feasible at the present, keeping in mind these diversities. So, in Part 4 of the Constitution, known as Directive Principles of State Policy, animal husbandry, not only cow, animal protection and promotion of animal husbandry and welfare of animal. An animal is a much more comprehensive word than limiting it to one animal. So, derived from this, cow slaughter or other animals, they are mentioned in the state list of the Constitution and in the concurrent list of the Constitution. The centre has no power. Hence, what other states which are opposing are raising the issue of federalism. That in a federal constitution, which is written constitution, and constitution is supreme,
Okay.
The power has been given to the states, and that is the reason that those states have not passed any legislation on slaughter.
Okay.
And it is mentioned in the concurrent list. So the center has taken the route of a law 1960
Yeah, yeah.
that is cruelty towards animals. Now, cruelty towards animals is a very broad subject. It can include any animal.
Okay.
It is not confined only to cow, because moment you bring cow, there is a sentiment, as you are such.
If I may butt in and ask you about this, livestock is a state subject, so the center cannot make a law on this, or a state is free to make a law or implement.
Not to make a law.
Okay, or not to make a law.
And once this power is given, not to make a law, derived from this is not to implement a law.
Okay.
If I don't have the power to make a law, I also have the power not to implement a law.
Okay.
So the method should have been that center and state should have held a round table conference, negotiate. Democracy means dialogue. Democracy means discussion. Democracy means persuasion. Democracy means convincing one another that look here, this is a sentiment of the people. Hence, however, once you
But
suddenly know,
here no one is talking about the condition of the, let's say, livestock, the condition of the animals, and the way they are being slaughtered.
Anurag, can I
Oh,
sorry,
yeah,
please,
yeah.
please button. And let me just give you an idea about the current situation on ground, what is happening. When we're talking about cattle fairs, and specifically because this is, you know, a notification which has come as far as the animal markets are concerned. Now, these are intended for the purpose of agriculture. But that is not what is happening.
Okay.
On the pretext of agriculture, it has become a hub of the meat mafia.
That's right.
So on the pretext of agriculture, they're buying animals in bulk, in hordes. You have to see the plight of the cattle. There have been so many activists from Dhyan Foundation. There are other organizations as well, like the Gao Gyan Foundation. And there have been so many trucks which have been found, obviously once the police has been informed. And you will be shocked, surprised, and angered. Cattle to the extent of 80 are stuffed into a truck, where only 4 are allowed.
4 are allowed?
Only
80s?
4 are allowed.
Okay.
Only 4, as per the transport laws. As per the PCA Act, there should be no cruelty. 80 of them are found. Not just that, they pierce chilies in their eyes so that it burns their eyes and they can't see. So the cow can't see, the bovine cannot see.
Okay.
Their legs are broken. They have knife wounds on their entire skin. There are so many Dhyan Foundation Gaushalas where rescue cows have come and you see them, they are bruised all over. So there is no limit to the animal cruelty that is happening on ground on this date.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you another thing. What happens is that this is an illegal slaughter. This is a illegal trade that is happening. We're talking about animal trafficking. Now, let me just break it down for you. Okay, when we're talking about India, there are these 3 highways. There is NH2, which is the Delhi-Mathura. So it goes through UP, Bihar into West Bengal.
That's
okay,
right.
then let's come down south. There's NH5. NH5 is Andhra Pradesh and via Odisha, so you have Khordha, Bhadrak, Balasore, Cuttack, and then via Jaleshwar it goes into West Bengal, which is NH5. Then you also have NH6, which is the same, but the route differs slightly via Mayurganj. Now, all this cattle, and mind you, cattle fairs all the way from Rajasthan as well, they're coming in, right? Illegal. Slaughter and trafficking is happening. Now, through these 3 routes, which are main highways of the country, you know, crossing states, it comes into West Bengal. It does not stop there. There is a 7-kilometer long stretch from Assam to West Bengal,
Okay.
which is the hub of illegal cattle
Can you also
trafficking.
tell us? Can you also tell us or the audience about that? What is the category of let's say the cattle is for slaughter or cattle is not for the slaughter? I mean,
I'll tell you.
Will not affect the meat market in general.
I'll just let you know. So when it comes to West Bengal, there is only one reason, which is so that it can go across Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Into Bangladesh, right? Because, and let's break it down into figures. A cattle which fetches 500 or 1,000 rupees across the border is fetching you 40,000. A camel which probably would fetch you 30,000, 40,000 rupees in India across the border sells for more than 1 lakh.
Okay.
So what these cattle fairs, which essentially are hubs of cattle of the meat mafia, they're hubs of meat mafia. What is happening is you are allowing cattle to go across the border and it does not stop there. It is an illegal activity, so it's only going to generate illegal money.
Okay.
So you have fake currency, arms and ammunitions coming in. So by allowing this to happen, you are funding terrorism. So I would say this is a brilliant step by the ministry to make sure that cattle fairs, any cattle that is sold and bought is not for the purpose of slaughter, because this is only illegal slaughter and also for no religious sacrifices.
See, that strengthens my argument. How can you stop illegality without taking the state on board?
Okay.
Who will stop this illegality? Simply
states?
by saying from Delhi, you stop it, you have to convince the state government.
Yes, absolutely right.
What I am saying is, this way of going about is not in the spirit of the Constitution. Constitution is supreme. Now they will go to Supreme Court because Constitution says state list and concurrent list. You have only one provision, cruelty. There can be cruelty in non-market also.
Okay.
Individuals can sell a particular animal. Who will stop it? Animal trade is not only through animal markets.
But a big chunk of it is.
No.
A huge chunk of it is.
That is my point.
Yes, yes.
That without taking the states
Into the
into confidence, these so-called markets will disappear. They will become
Yes,
individual household work. A smuggler is an individual.
So, are you trying to say that in this case, particularly in this case, both the parties, the center and the states, are right in their own in their own domain?
Yes, and it was the duty of the center.
Okay.
Because, sorry, because the center decided
Yeah.
to legislate, no problem.
Okay.
But before legislating, you cannot simply announce it.
But most of the states are following.
No,
okay.
Anurag, can I give you a very, very
as she
specific
said-
example
I'm
here?
just coming to you.
As she said, smuggling is from West Bengal to Bangladesh. This smuggling from other states also.
Yes,
Okay,
and that's
okay,
how it's
yeah.
coming to West Bengal and then
So it's
going
not
across.
only West Bengal.
And what about
you know,
Kerala?
the-
I mean, Kerala is saying.
Anurag, one second. I want to make a very, very important point, and I want to give you, because this has just happened very, very recently. We're talking about cattle fairs, right? And we know, like in Rajasthan, you have a lot of these animal markets. You have Bardmer, you have in Pushkar, you have in Bikaner, you know, Nagaur Pashu Mela. So you have all these markets that are thriving. Now, I'll tell you, in November 29, Dhyan Foundation, along with the SSB, found 61 camels in Kishanganj. Now, Kishanganj
In
is
Bihar.
1700 kilometers away from the natural habitat of a camel. What was a consignment of 61 camels doing? 1700 kilometers away from their house, their home.
From Rajasthan or
From
that place.
Rajasthan.
Yeah.
Now you see, it is going across states. Are you trying to tell me that no police saw this?
Yeah. Okay.
And you know, again, these are national highways. So they went across. So you have your PCA Act, which is the Prevention of Cruelty towards Animals, that is being flouted. 428, 429 of the IPC, that is also being flouted. You have your state laws. You have a very strict Rajasthan Camel Act of 2015.
okay.
Despite that, they went. Now you had, you know, Dhyan Foundation has actually fought a legal battle over 5 months
Okay.
to get those camels back to their natural habitat. The government was not with us. That is, and also because you have to understand the meat mafia is very, very powerful.
Yeah, that's right.
But that happened. That happened. We made sure it happened. So the question that was here, that who will enforce? There are law-abiding citizens like us. We will enforce this.
So, are you trying to say that all the slaughterhouses, I mean, in the entire country, I mean, the people say that only 30% of the cattle slaughtered in India is used for the meat, or either local or consumption or export, while 70% of the carcass is traded for the industries that comes in a daily, what do you call it, like a soap and toothpaste and paint brushes, for daily use, item for the daily use. Will it not suffer?
That is carcass. You're basically talking about tallow and carcass, right?
Yeah.
And roadkill. But that cannot be a reason to kill animals. No, no. That's not right. What we're trying to say is that simply there has to be, these are all excuses that it's going to affect jobs, it's going to affect employment. The law is supreme, the constitution is supreme, and you have the constitution which very categorically says, in fact it's Article 48, which says preserving the breeds and preventing the slaughter of cow and calves and milch and draught animals. Also, if there is someone who says wants a personal excuse, as in we're an individual, you also have with a fundamental right comes a fundamental duty.
Okay.
51A(b) very categorically says that you have to uphold the noble ideals which led to the freedom struggle. And if we know in 1857 the revolt was what? This was the same very reason. Also, we have the Article 51AG, which very categorically says that you have to show compassion for all living creatures.
Living creatures. Okay. We're going to take a short break here. When we come back, then we'll try to discuss about that what will happen when any state or the chief minister of any state comes and says that he or she will not follow the notification and will challenge the notification in the court. What will happen? This is a kind of a constitutional crisis. We'll discuss after the short break. Welcome back. We were talking about the Gazette notification issued by Centre on Prevention of Cruelty to Animal Rules 2017, and which was opposed by states like West Bengal and Kerala, and it can lead to some constitutional crisis we were discussing before going to the break. Mr. Bhambre, how will you see if the Centre doesn't, let's say state like West Bengal and the Kerala doesn't comply, will it not be the constitutional crisis, or what are the options in front of the, let's say, state or the Centre?
I don't see any constitutional crisis. I only see that there is a different perception about powers of the center and powers of the state. This is what Mamata Banerjee has said, federalism. This is what Chief Minister of Kerala has said, federalism. So they are proclaiming their loyalty to the Constitution.
Okay.
Center is saying we have the power. It goes to the Supreme Court. There are High Court judgments, but all those High Court judgments will now be reviewed by the Supreme Court. So one, there is no confrontation. That is only newspaper making or noisy people here and there who have no job to do. Second, if in one sphere, like animal, you do away with some fundamental powers of the states, states get apprehensive that tomorrow they will do something else.
Okay, okay.
This will open door to center's intervention. So they are only fighting for their rights, their autonomy. So don't say center versus the state.
Okay.
Only thing is whose power is this, whose jurisdiction is this, up to what extent the center can go, up to what extent the states can go, this will come to the Supreme Court.
So
and Supreme Court is the arbiter, no one else.
Anurag, I'll just like to add.
Do buy this? I mean, when Mamata says that she will not implement, she will
No,
not
no,
follow
no,
the-
no. The people have not read it. This
Okay,
is
okay.
wrong mischief played by newspapers and people like those who want to
to
carry.
sensationalize the thing. Okay.
If you read next line, she says, these are provisions of the Constitution. We will go to the Supreme Court.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Whether it is Kerala or West Bengal or any other state, we have to understand that the Constitution is supreme.
Yes.
Directive principles of state policy have to be followed. The law has to be followed. This politics of caste has to go. You have to end this. Law is the law. And this is also hurting the sentiments of the Hindus. You have to understand that as well. And also another thing is, you can't openly have the law being flouted. You can't have slaughter happening in houses or on the road. That is against the law.
Okay.
That cannot happen. It is Nandi. I worship Nandi, and you're not going to allow any such act to happen which is lawful. It is against the law.
Okay.
For
No,
example,
very period. We're not going to allow it.
Okay.
for example,
work
a
with the law.
doubt has been raised that even if animals are taken to the market in a very humane manner, and even if there is a so-called certificate by the market committee that they are not meant for slaughter, once it has been bought, a consumer who has bought it, what he does with that animal, no one can guarantee. You go to a shop, you buy something, what you do, shopkeeper is not responsible for it. So, people are pointing out limitations of guaranteeing this. What happens to that animal after it has been sold, following legality? What happens? What is the guarantee?
Okay.
So, it is the point is constitution makers in Constituent Assembly, as I said, considered this. It's a complicated issue. It's not that simple issue of making a law and saying implement it. Hundred of laws are flouted every day.
So Nikita, will it lead to the what do you call it? The ban on the slaughter of the cattle will lead to the kind of restoration of all the law, or the cruelty of the animal will
I'll
restore?
tell you what's happening. Laws are already in place. There are already existing laws in place. The problem is that at certain places, because of corruption and political pressure, the police is not enforcing the law. This is happening at certain places.
Okay.
This example that I'd given you of Kishanganj, where you have a legal case going on for 5 months, where half the camels then lost their lives. What else is it if it's not corruption?
Okay, yeah.
So you
that's
see,
right.
at certain places this is happening. This has to end. That is why laws have to be enforced, which is why this new rule that comes in, it is a brilliant step. It is a brilliant move because it will then remove the cause and the origin of terrorism.
Okay.
For
Okay.
implementing
And what will happen to the India's burgeoning meat market? If
Most of the meat market is all illegal. The slaughterhouses, there are the amount of slaughterhouses there are, most of them are illegal. Most of them are illegal. They are not legal slaughterhouses.
Yeah,
Most of
okay.
them are illegal. So you can't have a trade or you can't have a flourishing export which is on the basis of illegality. So the premise itself is wrong.
Okay. Okay.
See, millions of these traders in the animal market, they have no education. This society has not done anything for the poor. Only those who had education, they have education.
Okay.
These millions of farmers who go to these markets, they are absolutely illiterate.
Okay.
You ask them to fill up a form, they cannot fill up a form. So someone fills up a form for them. They pay. Every step they pay. So-called volunteers emerge to fill up the forms. The point is, this complicated issue cannot be simply resolved by saying, here is a law, implement it.
Okay. Okay.
There are other prerequisites. Those prerequisites have to be kept in mind when you are dealing with millions of farmers, millions of laborers, millions of workers who did not have the privilege of even elementary education. You want them to fill up complicated forms. What are you talking about? Are you living in this country known as India? Or you are living in some European country? Where are you living?
So-
Whose country is this?
No, but
Okay,
then
so at the
we
end-
can't suggest that we should break the law in that case. We can't suggest that the law should be broken, right? Because, like I said, it is these cattle markets which have become the hub of the meat mafia.
Okay.
And on the pretext of
but-
agriculture. So we can't break the law.
But what will happen when the ban on the slaughter is implemented there? The number of the livestock will increase eventually, and it will lead to kind of a chaos, and will put the burden on let's say the peasant or the common man. It will
There
not
is
be.
no such thing that is happening. And this is a very, very wrong argument. Do you have any idea what is happening to the cattle? Do you have any sort of regulations that are happening? Even if we talk about slaughterhouses,
Okay.
do you know the hygiene? Do you
No,
know the
no,
sanitation?
no.
Nothing.
Nothing,
We know
nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
There is just this illegality which is continuing, and we have no idea about where is coming and what. And that is why we are here to tell you that this is the on-ground scenario.
So what
This
do you
is
have
the
to say?
on-ground picture.
So at the end, what do you have to say about the people who are making noise about this notification?
Let them make a noise. The law has to be followed. The law is the law.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nikita. Time is short. Thank you very much, Mr. Bambri, for coming here and telling us. So, amidst this hangama and the chaos, when everything is being seen through the prism of politics, the question of animal cruelty and the sentiments of the majority of the people are being seen as an act of authoritarianism. When the logics are being defied by the inane logics, on the other hand, there is a consternation or fear of losing business and jobs, which is of thousands of crore. Few seems to answer the questions, but the problem lies in the degree of insanity in opposing someone you dislike. Innocent cows are slaughtered in Kerala recently. CM of a state defies centre openly. Rhetoric defeats pragmatism. This war of equation does not seem to die down soon. That's all we have in this edition of Public Forum. Thank you very much for watching us.